All right, so that was a great presentation. Next up, we will continue our Marketplace Partner Power Hour session with Kirk Consulting. As I mentioned earlier, this time they are continuing their presentation on their WorkFlow AnyWare application, but we will be focusing on the contracts and customer vendor, their vendor and customer contracts management module. So without further ado, I'll hand it off to Kevin and Sam from Kirk Consulting. Guys, can you hear me? Are you on the line?
Yes, I hear you very well. Thank you very much. This is Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Go ahead and pull up your deck whenever you're ready.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I am ready. I appreciate it. So should I share my screen or it's going to be you pulling?
No, please share your screen.
You got it. Okay, coming up. Perfect. Thank you very much, Benny, for the introductions. Much appreciated. So, first of all, I joined today with my colleague, Sam Watt. So together we are going to be presenting WorkFlow AnyWare's contract management application. As Benny mentioned earlier, we actually had a chance to introduce WorkFlow AnyWare with my colleague Bob early on in, I will say, December. And today we'd like to continue with regards to WorkFlow AnyWare. However, our focus will be contract management application built on WorkFlow AnyWare platform. Okay, great. So I think we can get started. So what we'll do is I'll just start with the presentation as Benny instructed earlier, and then I'll hand it over to Sam later in my presentation. Also, we'll show you the application live in action for you, and then we'll also address your questions in this session. So let's get started. So let's start with the overview of contract manager, also WorkFlow AnyWare briefly, and then we'll jump to the live demo session followed by Q&A. So who we are, first of all, we are Kirk Consulting, and as some of you may know us, we are active nationally and internationally. We are based in Houston, and our office is in Houston, and we also have offices in various parts of in the United States. AnyWare Apps is a registered trademark of Kirk Consulting, and we have a product family, software product family called AnyWare Apps, as I mentioned on this slide, and WorkFlow AnyWare is one of them. So at the last session that we talked about WorkFlow AnyWare briefly, I'll just refresh your minds with a couple of slides, and then I'll jump to the contract manager application right away. So WorkFlow AnyWare is no-code digital business process automation platform. The idea and the soul of this platform is to automate and digitize business processes of any organization in any industry, basically integrated with Sage Intact ERP system. WorkFlow AnyWare has been in the market since 1998. We have right now more than 1.5 million professional users of WorkFlow AnyWare. We have more than 580 corporate customers, and also at the moment there are more than 50,000 business processes automated and running on WorkFlow AnyWare. These business processes may be any business process, could be expense management, change management, HR onboarding, offboarding, you name it. We have many. Today we'll focus on contract management application as one of these applications running on the platform. It's a very modern system. It is also running on cloud. You can access it with a web browser. You can access it with your tablet, with your smart device. It is very practical. So when we look at the system on a high level, some of the benefits, actually, we need to mention that it helps companies become paperless, digitize their business processes. It is scalable. Thanks to its scalability, platform can grow with your organization. And also, thanks to the workflow engine that it has, you can also have approvals, controls, notifications, reminders, and escalations if needed based on your internal business process style and your corporate hierarchy. It is secure. It has security features in place. And with the help of WorkFlow AnyWare, you can comply with various compliance standards. That may be your quality management system that you design. That may be ISO. That may be AS9100 for aerospace and defense industry. That may be HIPAA for healthcare industry. That may be FDA for healthcare, pharma, and medical device industry. All these compliance requirements can be addressed and satisfied by WorkFlow AnyWare platform. It has actually a modular structure. It has workflow module, document management module, capture, and dashboard module. Today, we'll talk about contract management application. But when we look at the customers of WorkFlow AnyWare, there are many well-known organizations using WorkFlow AnyWare on a daily basis. 3M is one of our customers, for example. Ford is using WorkFlow AnyWare. Nissan, Bridgestone, AstraZeneca, some of the customers that we can mention. In addition, United Nations is using also WorkFlow AnyWare to manage refugee tracking and documentation and certain application processes of refugees in a digital environment, which is an important reference that we are proud of. Let's talk about contract management. So today we'll talk about contract management application built on WorkFlow AnyWare. So first of all, what is it? Contract Manager is a vertical-free application that helps companies create, communicate, update, and deliver contracts digitally. It is a vertical-free application. We all have contracts regardless of what industry we are. So that is designed vertical-free in that sense. And it is designed to help you automate and digitize your contract management operations. You can manage your contracts on your desktop, on your laptop, on your smart device, or on your tablet, thanks to WorkFlow AnyWare's native mobile application. Before I jump to the next slide, I also mentioned a couple of things. Why did we feel the need of creating this application? So there is a story behind it. I need to also mention that. So as I mentioned, we have many different customers, millions of users. So we keep engaging with our customers and organizations. So one of the challenges that they have is actually managing their contracts. Especially, it's a challenge to create a contract. So you need to agree on the terms, and that may be very detailed sometimes. So there is a lot of back and forth emailing most of the time when you are creating your contracts. These details may be the commercial details. These details may be the legal details or other functions of the contract that you are working on. So email traffic is so high, and that's one of the pain points as we hear from our customers. Also, once you create the contract, you need to renew it from time to time. That may be annual, that may be monthly, quarterly, depends on the nature of the contract and the deal that you are working on. So this renewal process happens to be very also difficult for organizations as we learn from them. Another challenge as we learn from the customers is basically retrieving the contract. So you have the contract, you agree on it, but when it's time to review it or follow the instructions on the contract, it may be a challenge for organizations to follow. So what it does is it helps you manage your customer contracts, vendor contracts, NDA, and any type of contracts on these applications. You can keep your contract in one place. You can process them. You can even sign them with the help of DocuSign integration. And you can also manage your vendor customer contracts and other details that you may have in your contracts when you are managing them. When we look at the features, it has, first of all, a workflow engine running with this application, meaning when you have a contract in place, you may need to have certain reviews internally. That may be from department to department, that may be from team member to team member or employees, for example. So the workflow engine can help you have the special workflow style that you have to manage your contracts. It has the permission role-based system. Not everyone can see everything, so the permission-based structure is really helpful, both for security purposes, also for the priorities of employees. You can access your contract anywhere, no matter where you are. You may be working remotely from home. You may be traveling. Doesn't really matter. You can access the system via web browser. Also, there are ready-made reports available. There is encryption option available in the application. Two-factor authentication is available as an additional security feature. There is dashboard, and as I mentioned earlier, there is mobile application. So, who are using these applications? So, typically, it is good for any organization, typically more than 20 employees. So, if the company has manual processes in place when they are managing the contracts, heavily paper-oriented, and if they are working remotely, would like to work remotely and manage the contracts remotely, that's an ideal customer. Regardless of vertical, by the way, could be in any industry, could be a manufacturer, a finance organization, banking, accountant, legal firms. So it really doesn't matter. In that sense, it is actually very, very practical. And also, any organization looking to be on cloud, hardware agnostic is actually typical client that we like to connect, and that these are also the typical profile of customers that we have using these applications. With the help of contract managers, you can save time when creating contracts. It can be really reduce the hassle and difficulties that you are experiencing when you are managing the contracts within your organization, as well as with the help of legal department and with your vendor and contract. You can improve the relationship with your vendor and customer, first of all. Contracts can be a hassle, we know it, but it is necessary, as we know it also in business. So this application is designed to help you have a better contract management application, easier and quicker, so that you can manage your sales prices, buying prices, cost effectively. It increases speed and increases the control over the process for you, and it is also ready to help you manage the contract renewals anytime you like. It has reminders and notifications, as I mentioned earlier. Furthermore, you may have audits internally or externally from time to time. So with the help of contract manager, you'll have a transparent process of contract management. So you can be audited anytime that is needed, internally or externally, depends on the compliance that you are following. Industries, as I mentioned earlier, manufacturing, automotive, aerospace, chemical, we get a lot of inquiries from nonprofits. That is amazing. So especially large nonprofit organizations, healthcare organizations, the contracts are detailed, a lot of emails coming and going, the email traffic is so high, and it is difficult to manage. So the more contract traffic a company has, the more they appreciate this application, basically. So how do we sell it before we jump to the demo session? Sage Intacct refers a lead. Care Consulting conducts a discovery call. Basically, we try to understand what type of contracts customer actually processes. Is it vendor contracts, customer contracts, how many customers, how many vendors, and how is the steps? How are the steps? What is the workflow that needs to be in place? That's what we need to understand. And then we put together a demo and POC if necessary. So typically the close time is 4 to 8 weeks. It's pretty straightforward, and our system is actually pretty flexible, WorkFlow AnyWare platform. And implementation typically takes a couple months. Integration model is actually very flexible. At the moment, we are pulling the master data, employees, customers, products, as well as vendor information coming. And also depends on the type of contract we integrate with the sales part of the Sage Intacct or vendor part of the Sage Intacct, depends on what is needed. So that part, the integration part, is pretty flexible because WorkFlow AnyWare platform is actually very flexible, and that gives a lot of options for us to integrate pretty quickly. Depends on the type of the contract. Okay, great. I think I shared a lot of information. I hope you found it to be informative. So what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Sam, my colleague. So Sam will show you the system live, and he'll show you how the contract manager application looks, feels, and then we'll continue our session. Thank you very much. Sam, please take over the screen.
All right. Thank you, Kevin, for your presentation. And this is Sam, the pre-sales software engineer of AnyWare Apps. And also, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. And today, I will demonstrate the contract manager application powered by WorkFlow AnyWare. As WorkFlow AnyWare, it is integrated with Sage Intacct so that you can run our system on the same screen or the same page of Sage Intacct, like what I'm now showing on your screen. And this is the home screen of the system. Right after you log in, you can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval. WorkFlow AnyWare is a permission-based system, meaning not everyone can see everything. You will see what you're supposed to do based on your role, position, profession, department, and also group. As I'm now logging in as the admin, you can tell from the username on the top right, I have the full permission to the system. And on the left, we can open the contract manager application and get into this application. So this is the form side that we call it of this application. And first of all, by using this application, you will see the request date is captured as today automatically. And also you can check the status of this particular request as for uploading a new contract by using this application. In addition, you can also pick and choose the type that you are handling. For example, are you uploading a signed contract, or are you using the template to create a new document, or you're starting from the scratch, like creating the template and then send this to, for example, the vendor to sign the contract. So you have the capability to pick and choose the correct type and then start filling up the form. Right here, we can also pick and choose the vendor, and you will see a list of the vendor that we have in Sage Intacct as we pull the data from Sage Intacct ERP system. And you can pick and choose the one that you want to have, and you will see all the information related to this vendor will be filled to our system automatically. For example, the vendor name, email, address line, and phone number. So this is one of the advantage by using this application, as you can minimize the human error while you're managing or filing your contract. And also you can set up or define the startup date and the activation date, expire date of your contract. You can pick and choose the date from a calendar. For example, it's going to expire like this Sunday. You can also set up a reminder, like an alert, and the system will send you an email and also notification in our system in order to let you know that's the time that you have to renew your contract with this particular vendor. Furthermore, you can pick and choose the contract type in this drop-down list, and all the items that you can see in this drop-down list, they are configurable, meaning you can add, edit, or delete any items in the drop-down list that you find in our system. Saying this is a partnership agreement, and also you can enter the amount of your contract, saying it is $1,000, and this application also supports multi-currency, so that you can pick and choose the correct currency for this particular contract. There's always an open text box that allows you to enter any supportive information to this particular request. And if there is any penalty, warranty, or tax liability is involved in your contract, you can also click or hit the button as yes, and then enter the, for example, the penalty amount and also the warranty amount. And as for the tax, like we can enter the percentage here, and all the calculation will be done by the system automatically. Again, it's help you to minimize all the human error that might be occurred while you are filing this request. And at last, we can upload our signed contract in this example, and we can pick and choose the one that we have on our local. and upload to this application. And by using WorkFlow AnyWare, you can also read the document that you upload to the application as well. So our system supports different file format that you upload to the system. For example, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, and even image or video or audio. So once on the form side it is ready, then we can send this to the workflow. As for all the applications that we have in our system, there are two sides. One is the form side and the other is the flow side. So here is the workflow for this particular application. As for the workflow, it can be very detailed like this one, or it can be very simple. For example, we just ask for one approval in the workflow. Those will be configured by our team during the implementation. And to the form side and also the flow side, they are not constant, meaning they are not fixed. We can always configure it based upon the actual operation of your company or your preference. And as I mentioned, once it is ready, then we can send this out. And based on the workflow of this application, you can see the status of your request with also the username and date and time. So this is the audit trail that helps you to keep tracking the status of your request. And you can see now we are waiting for Michael approval for our request. So as the admin, I can switch between different user accounts, and I'm going to log in as Mike. Now I log in as Mike, and on the home page, I can see the notification and see there is a request sent to my account and waiting for my approval, so that I can get a quick connection from my home page and start reviewing this particular request. And you will see the exact same data I enter as the requester. Like the penalty, I can review all of them. And all the action can also be found in this approval process in this application as well. And if it is ready, then we can approve it and send this to the next approver. Again, we will see the audit trail, like the flow history page. And now we are waiting for the finance department approval so that I can log in as Ashley, who is the responsible person. Now I switch back to my account, which is the admin, and go back and log in as Ashley. So at the final step, we can again review the request for approval, and I can have the quick connection from the home page, start reviewing it, or send this back for amendment. And even for as the approver, we can also read the document in the system as well. So now I can approve, and the flow history page will tell you now the process is finished. And it is now safe in the archive of our system. There is a reporting tool that we can always use in this application, as we can open our archive and find all the signed contract, and all your signed contract that you upload to the system will be shown as a list. And we can also open this up if needed. For example, we want to keep tracking all the documents that we upload and see the content of our contract. And it will be opened in the built-in browser of our system. And as for this contract manager application, it also has the capability to change all the fields that we find in our application. For example, the contract types, and also adding the purchase order number, managing the approver. Those can be changed in these parameters. So it is very flexible for you and also meet your requirements. And again, as for the form side and also the flow side, they are not constant, meaning we can always configure it and make sure it's fit your actual operation of your company. It's come to the end of my demonstration on a high level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Let me just take back the screen before we jump to the Q&A session. Okay, great. So after the live demo session, before we address your questions, how do we maximize value? Eventually, WorkFlow AnyWare is working with Sage Intacct ERP system together, integrated. So integration can be bidirectional and depends on the client's priorities and needs. We can have different type of integration models. So it's actually pretty flexible. And also the web service, platform services, actually both actually available as for the integration work. And we can connect to different parts of the ERP system. Depends on the type of the contract. There may be a customer contract, there may be a vendor contract, and depends on the contract, we can basically integrate and further the integrations accordingly. So as for future reference, you can always send us an email to me, Kevin Devecioglu, or my colleague Bob. This is our email address, info@anywareapps.com. We also have a toll-free number if you'd like to give us a call, so we can schedule time and talk about contract management, and we can dig deeper in the application. Right now we have limited time, so we try to share as much information as we can with you, but I hope you find it to be informative for you. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address.
All right, thank you, Kevin, Sam. I don't see any questions in the chat.
Okay, well, a couple of things I can add. So typically I get a lot of questions as for electronic signatures for contracts. I'll just address a couple of things before I end this session, if that's okay. So as for electronic signatures, there are different ways to sign a document when you have a contract, for example. So there are different solutions in the marketplace. So we have a ready-made integration with DocuSign with electronic signatures, but there are other electronic signature tools that we can integrate. It's not a problem. Also, let's remember that once someone actually approves and okays the contract, that's also registered in the system. So we have an audit trail. So you can always follow this accordingly. As for internal reviews, as well as approving a contract, for example. Another question that I always get from partners, clients, and prospects, for example, is about the number of contracts that they can manage. So from the system, there is no limit as for how many contracts you manage. It depends on the, I would say, storage. So you can manage different types of contracts, customer contracts, vendor contracts, NDAs, and other type of contracts in any industry, basically, based on your preference or based on the industry you are in. Companies with legal departments, also legal firms, may be also of interest for contract management application. And our difference, actually, the competitive, unique competitive advantage that we have is the workflow engine that we have underneath Contract Manager, which is actually very flexible and helps us design the workflow based on the client's hierarchy and workflow that they like to have, which is very important and flexible for organizations. That's our unique competitive advantage, I must say. Okay, thank you very much, Benny.
All right, thanks, Kevin, and thanks, Sam. Great presentation. As just a gentle reminder, these sessions are all recorded and will be uploaded in HighSpot later on. Please do join us for our next Power Hour on February 2nd, featuring Tally Street, as well as Auditoria. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. Hope you have a good day, and we'll see you at the next Power Hour. Take care.
Thank you.